While you were at the club, obviously he was there at the club as well, and you got to know him differently than most of us would ever get to know him. So how would you describe Cristiano Ronaldo as a person, Louis?
No, it's funny because there is like this persona where he's like well known to be arrogant in some way, hyper confident, but he's a humble guy, because when you work hard as much as he does, it means that basically he knows that he's capable of like looking maybe complacent or someone's gonna take his place. No, he works hard because he don't want to have that competition and feel like he has some kind of regrets. So he's respectful. He thinks that he can always learn from people. He always like has a high for jokes. So he's a very likable person. People may have come across him differently because he want to protect his legacy. He want to protect maybe his target and the ways of winning things. If you come across lazy, I think he will be on your back. If you come in a point where you disrespect him, he will protect himself. So I don't think that's anyone who will be in this position, scoring 700 goals, winning that much goals, trophies. You can't look at someone who is looking at his fitness the way like normal people does. He doesn't. He's like not a normal human being in a way that he's 38 and still like looking as motivated as anybody. So that was the reason I think he's trying to say to people, you have to respect me because I'm not the usual guy that you have seen before. I have done a lot for the game as an icon. So that's why I think people sometimes misinterpret his reaction.
And listen, you've been there, you've been at the elite of the game, and you understand what it must be like as one of, a very few number of people on this planet who've played professional football at that level. But I do wonder, I mean, you mentioned this word legacy. Has he spoilt it? Because, the way in which this second stint at Manchester United has been handled has been in such stark contrast to the first one. Do you think he will look at this in the future and maybe have at least a few regrets about how he went about things?
I don't think so. As I think he's a very honest player, human being. I think he doesn't like a situation. He will say it. People may say, "Oh yes, he should have done this." Nobody is Cristiano Ronaldo. Nobody is in his shoes in this situation where you have to protect yourself because nobody will do it, not the manager roles to do it. So I think maybe previously I was thinking this way. Oh, maybe he tarnished things and he gave like a great interview to Piers Morgan. He is the biggest beneficial in this regard. But actually, when now the story goes to be free again, having maybe a chance to find another club that will maybe respect a bit more what he has some requirements, and straight away in the summer he has maybe asked those to be met. Otherwise, it will be a difficult situation to be managed. So he has done it in a very respectful way. As much people may have said, he hasn't maybe talked directly enough. So that's why people misinterpret a lot of things.
You clearly sympathise with his position.
A bit now,
here.
More than before.
But do you sympathise with maybe how fans of the football club might feel that this is potentially quite damaging? I mean, the way that this is all spiralled out of control, he's chosen to go very, very, very public.
Yeah.
And the nature of the comments that he made about Erik ten Hag, about the club in general, that's more than disruptive, isn't it?
Yes, that's the only way you get what you wanted. So he planned it. At first, the first reaction that I had, I say, why are you doing this? The timing is wrong and all those things and all that. But if you want to do it, it's not during the World Cup because you are disrespecting your national team. You have to be in his duty time for the club. Then you may think that the comments or the comments in this form, I don't back it up because it's not right, because your employee, you have a contract and all those things. But when you think that maybe this situation has gone on all the summer, has like not helped the manager because it's difficult. You have to protect the project more than anything, and at the same time you've been asked to protect the legend. No other managers have to do that. It's really a big task. I think he done well, Erik ten Hag, but it was an impossible mission. You can't ask Cristiano to sit on a bench and thinking like a normal player is going to retire because someone decided he's not good enough. No, he's a player who needs a certain type of platform to perform. He hasn't been given. The confidence level that these players had to actually perform over the years has always been there, not because he's 35 or he's 25, it's just because they trust his stats. The stat, the amount of goals that he scored, the amount of teams that he saved because of his goals, and now we're saying, oh yes, he's old because he hasn't performed as much. I think it's a bit, I'm not going to say unfair, but it hasn't been unrealistic in some way, the way they've managed it.
You mentioned that you don't think he will have regrets about how this has all gone on. How do you think he's going to be considered by fans, given, that, as I mentioned, the first year at the club, when he left for Real Madrid for very big money, but no one would begrudge him that, what he brought to Manchester United. But then this second time around, do you think that fans will forgive him?
Yes, they will, because he's a human being. First, he's not a robot. Anyone will say, oh yes, in this position I will have done this, I've done that. It's easy. Fans have a total right to actually think this way because his job is to perform for the club, and this is what he's trying to do. But he knew, as an individual, that if he wants to perform, he has to be given certain type of keys because he's a player with a lot of on his shoulders. And they're saying, oh no, sit on the bench and look at the game on the side and think like a normal human being in some way. This is not his style. So that's what I think fans will see it and say, oh yes, this situation is really bad. But over the years, I've seen it from my perspective. They not only forget this, they look at our overview, but at the moment, at this moment in time, they will think this way. This is totally normal. But back in, I would say, 2 or 3 years on, they will say, oh, I think he's right, now he's retired. They will always respect what he has given to the club.
OK, so let's just look forward a little bit, because if there is a club that can extract the very best out of Cristiano Ronaldo, you mentioned his advancing years, let's put it like that, but who are willing to build everything around him for whatever time he has left in his career at the highest level, which is that club? Where does he go next?
That's the $1 million question. I think that it's going to be tough, but if he has done this before, he has a big idea about it. I suspect that it's still going to be a challenge, something where he's going to get excited.
A top 5 league in Europe challenge? In
some way, yeah. He have to be. He looked like he was willing to perform at the highest level, but at the same time, he has the right to actually think, oh, I want to enjoy this one. I want to enjoy the ride and giving the role I deserve. So,
is there any that you think he fits? Does he fit back at Real Madrid? Does he fit at PSG? Does he fit? He hasn't played in Germany. Where does he? Is there anything that you kind of go, wow, that could work?
The Bayern Munich one link, I think it makes sense in some way. They're still looking for that figure in terms of striker. Why not? It's another challenge for him because he hasn't won the league in Germany. Why not? But it will not be given the star, let's say, status in there because Bayern Munich never done it. They don't look for stars.
Yeah, not even with Lewandowski or anyone.
They don't break their structure. Yeah. So that's not going to be a full fit here.
MLS? That's
not going to be his style, I think, in some way.
No, not anytime soon. Maybe sometime in the future. Let's talk about the future of Manchester United themselves. Obviously, the news that broke in the last 24, 48 hours, the Glazer family open to selling the football club. They've been there for 17 years. What do you make of that, Louis?
Surprising. The timing is surprising. It seems like the Cristiano Ronaldo opened up some new kind of discussion, some new philosophy. They're open to any solution. So that's quite a strange timing. But I think like anyone who are connected to the club will be looking forward. A an innovation, an improvement, because the attack of Cristiano Ronaldo has been clearly on the evolution of the club. So whether, like, again, I'll come back to the fans saying, oh, they didn't like what Cristiano has done. If they provide a new platform for the club, they may say differently, because it happens.
Or highlighting the issues. And I guess at least on that, perhaps they are aligned. Despite the disruptive nature of it, I'm sure the vast majority of Manchester United fans are obviously not in support of the Glazers, and this latest bit of news would have come as music to their ears. And you were at United for the first 3 years following the takeover. What were your early memories of how things were done then, and what changed? Did you get any kind of strange feeling about the direction that the club was heading in any way?
No, because the actual main contact that you felt at the time was David Gill, and he was a master communication-wise. The actual management with the Sir Alex Ferguson was amazing. You felt like they were a team. So all this worked really well. We had a team in transition, and everything was protected. Our only focus was playing well, improving, and that's it. So where the maybe a Glazer situation or the controversy arises when the result was not there. But at the time, I think we were seeing some good investment on players. We're still seeing some players join the academy, like Pogba. I just missed him for a few years, but I've seen some really good signing. So all this, I think it will be the same in a few years when you will see results. If tomorrow United are winning trophies, nobody will talk about the Glazers. That situation is just because things are not going well. So
when will they win a trophy? When is that next trophy coming? And where are the expectations sat right now? Because you don't need to be a United fan to remember that it was under the Jose Mourinho era at the club that they won a trophy, but nothing since. So how do you assess that now compared to City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs? Well, the big six, Newcastle now.
No, it's painful. It's really painful, because what Cristiano highlighted, the evolution, the innovation, the thing that we are saying are obvious for winning a trophy, for winning a championship as hard as the Premier League. You need big investment. The fans were aware that those things were not happening, were not done in a manner to actually provide the best chance for the players like Cristiano Ronaldo to get them on the right kind of foundation to actually win the trophy. So hopefully the management has proved that they are on a good path. Is it enough? I'm not sure. So where we think the next fund or investment owners is going to bring on the Manchester United legacy, I think we will need to invest a lot. But I hope that on the field you can see a trophy or two by the 2 years that we are talking about.
Okay, all right. So not too distant future. No. When you think about how football clubs operate now, especially in the Premier League, is there any kind of comparison or any kind of good example you think? Do you know what? I'd like Manchester United to function like this. Is there anyone who's doing it well at the moment who you think, well, okay, that could work?
That's horrific what I'm going to say, but Liverpool and Man City are the kind of example at the moment. They obviously use the biggest platform on sport with the Premier League. The product is just amazing. So anyone who is investing in those two clubs, they have an unbelievable machine. So the biggest example is a rival that we have. So it's a big tech.